welcome to the channel and welcome to the show. In the last video I talked a lot about building a relationship with the spirit worlds in order to connect with the gods, the Norse and Germanic gods, the Irish gods, pick your gods. I gave you some tips. I also talked about tips to connect more with the great spirit of nature, with individual smaller spirits. I handled a lot of stuff in that video. But there's one thing that I didn't mention, I'm going to mention today. We are talking about the Sisters of Fate, the Weavers of Fate in this video, the Norns. I will tell you what I know about them and I will tell you my experience with them. Because I felt them many times, but it's taken me quite a lot of time to realize what it all meant, and I'm going to share with that in the second part of the video. For those of you who don't know, the Norns are three women, the weavers of our faith. Urt, verandi and skuld. That's what they're called. The Native Americans, they say stuff like, all life is a circle, and we are here together bound in this circle of life. Germanic and Nordic people, well, we acknowledge life is a circle, and things always tend to come full circle, so there is a lot of circles in ourselves and outside of ourselves in nature. But when it looks to the thing, if we look to the thing that connects us all, we see it more visually as a web, meaning that Urt, verandi and skuld weave the web of our destiny. And you can visualize that as a rope going through your heart or through your center. And behind me, the rope goes to my past. And in front of me, the rope goes to my future. Now, there are certain people in your life that shape your life. Your parents are a good example of this. They have a lasting impression. But also other people. You meet and they change you. We believe that when you meet somebody and it really changes you, the two lines, the two strands of the web, they intersect and they become a knot. And whenever there's a knot, there's also a choice. You can choose to handle things a certain way and choose to handle it a different way. If you've ever changed some dysfunctional behavior, like you always ran away for certain things, and now you said, I'm not going to run away anymore, I'm just going to stay here and see if I can handle it. What you did is, at that knot in the web of life, you chose to stay there and to go a different route, to walk a different route on the web of life that connects us all. But there's one thing we cannot change. There's one thing that nobody can change. Not even Odin could change. There's a great quote in the Havamal. The time and hour of your death is known, and no man can avoid it. I'm probably butchering that. I'm not saying that exactly correct. It's a famous quote. Meaning that even Odin knew how he was going to die. He was going to die at the hands of the wolf Fenrir. And even he could not stop it. So, if he can do it, we can do it. You can make different choices, but you can't change when you're going to die. That was a big belief of our Viking ancestors too. Because when they were in battle, and they believed that sometimes people were so good in battle, it seemed like nothing could kill them. So they started to believe that that person was not fated to die. The Norns have woven a web where he was going to die a long time from now. So they believed that he was impossible to kill. It's impossible to kill a man who is not fated to die. That's what they used to say. So that's where the Norns are I believe they have their own hall. I believe in Valhalla. They have their own hall where they weave the web for each and every one of us. Urd is the young one, Verandi is the middle-aged one, and skuld is the old one, the crone. Now, I'm going to share with you my experiences because I felt them a lot of times around me, which is quite peculiar because people don't talk about the Norns a lot and people don't connect with the Norns a lot. So I'm going to tell you where you can find the Norns in the hope that it can enrich your experience of life itself. Talk about a hefty thing to live up to for this video. My day job is I work as a nurse. Now, I worked as a nurse for the terminally ill for about 10 years, so I've seen a lot of people die. And this was a long time ago, longer than 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Why? Because I'm old. So about 15 years ago, I had that job, and I really liked that job. I worked at a special section of an elderly home where were just people who were terminally ill. If you're terminally ill, the doctor says you have 3 months to live or less, and then you're qualified to go to our special section. And every nurse that worked there had their own little technique of how to tell when the end was going to be really near. Some people felt the feet, and if the feet were already getting cold, they knew that the soul was about to leave the body. So they could call the family, you know, you have to come now because you don't have much time. I also have my own little trick. Well, it's not really a trick, because when I came for my evening shift in the afternoon, said hi, talked to everybody, read everything I needed to read, so I was up on everything, so I knew all the latest development. Then I just did a round, went through all the rooms, entered everywhere. And if somebody was going to die in a day or 2 days, I just walked in and I felt there was this massive energy. And I didn't know what it was, but I liked it because it felt like there was something waiting for that person who was going to die to pick him or her up. And for a long time for me, it felt that I was working not for that home for the elderly, but I was working for that energy. That energy made sure that when that person died, everything went smoothly. That's how I felt it. And my job was on the other hand in the world of living to make sure that everything went smoothly, to make sure that that person was ready. And thus far I was allowed to help that person get ready, and medically to make sure that there was no anxiety, that there was no pain. The family has a lot of emotions, which is normal and natural and healthy. And just I was in service of the process before they die, and that energy was after they die, taking care of them. So I felt in service of that energy for many years, but I didn't know what that energy was. So we skip further to about 6.5 years ago. My first son was being born. It was a very long labor. They tried to induce the labor for 24 hours, and after 24 hours the labor started, and then it still lasted about 24 hours. So I was like almost 50 hours in total awake and going through an emotional roller coaster. It doesn't really matter, you get a great son in the end. But I will never forget that we were going to the final stages of giving birth. Or should I say we, or should I say my wife? So I was there for her, I was helping her. I was like, yeah, we're gonna push, baby, you're gonna do it. And while we were in the madness of that all, with no sleep and just this emotional washing machine that I was in, I remember stopping and sensing this energy enter the room. And I was like, holy fuck, I know this. It felt like the same energy as when people died. The same energy, but different. So I didn't have time to think it over because, well, we were kind of in the middle of something. So we just finished that. And after a while, I just realized it's the same energy, but different. These are the Norns. I mean, what is energy that picks people up at the end of their life and makes sure they reincarnate when they are born also, but it's a different energy. So Urd and skuld were there. But recently, I think I felt verandi. And I'm going to get a bit personal now. This channel started with Odin speaking to me. What he said was that I shouldn't play it safe anymore and I shouldn't be such a pussy. I should just go all in. And to be honest, I was invested in Bitcoin very small amounts because I was playing it safe. And he says, you always make money, don't play it safe, go hard. And it will change your life. So that's what I did. And that's what I'm still doing. And it's changing my life. And now I'm in that phase where I'm learning about trading. So it's very odd that a pagan and a heathen and a thinking spiritual person is learning how to trade. And I've been learning how to trade for about a year. I'm on TradingView and indicators and making notes. And I'm really studying hard. Especially the last couple of months, I'm really keeping the focus on. And I'm keeping the focus on learning to trade. And that's when it happened. I was just sitting there, studying. And I go like, by the gods. I recognize that energy. It's the same that was when my son was born. It's the same when people were died, but different. But now it's here. And it felt like she was unknotting something that was knotted. Now you think, why would she do that and why is that so important? You're maybe going to become a Wall Street trader or a Bitcoin trader. You might be successful, you might fail, but you're just making money. Why would an entity like that show up? Well, money is important in my male bloodline. And because it was important, my dad was always very sick. He made himself very sick by worrying about money. So when I was younger, I was like, I'm not going to end up like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just enjoy life. Because money is not worth making myself miserable over. Not mentally and certainly not physically. So I was very carefree until I got scammed out of a lot of money in Indonesia. I'm talking about a lot of money. So I realized at that moment that money was important. It was not important enough to make yourself sick. But my dad was worried about money, but my grandfather was good at making money, and his father before that was good at making money, really creative. I had an uncle in Sweden who had a bowling area with an illegal casino just below that. I have very few family, like with my name behind me, but the male ones, they're successful financially in a very unconventional way. So by me learning to trade, and don't get me wrong, it might take me a year, it might take me 10 years, but I will learn how to trade. I'm successfully picking up that gift that is in my blood. I am moving my hands through the web of life. So if you're wondering why verandi would show up at a time like this, that's exactly when she shows up. Those are my honest experiences. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to give a like if you do. Let me know in the comments your thoughts and prayers on this matter. And I'll see you all in a week or two. Ga met de goden.